Alright, so it's 6-4. Yeah. Oh, you go.
All right. First bullet point is reorganization.
Oh, sorry, I should print that.
Approval of minutes. We have 2 to approve, the May 16th meeting and the June 19th meeting.
So you guys can either.
I'd move to approve the minutes. Second.
Do you want to do both of them?
Sure. Move to approve the May 16th and the June 19th. Thanks. I can write unanimous. Yes.
And then the other vote.
Next order of business, we have the cemetery sexton's report.
So, when things were, I think it's only been one burial actually that came up kind of quick on us. And in what's becoming a really bad habit, our friend I seem to be away when we get really weird ones. So Rickers had called us, we figured it out. So this is kind of part of the deal with what I want to do with Pontum and going through some of this, is that in Pontum, we have the owner's name with certain plots. I've got the family called, the mother had passed and was already buried, dad had passed, and they wanted to bury him, and she was supposed to be next to him. But according to things that I found quickly, I wasn't seeing this, and it wasn't in Pontum. So thankfully, Rick is awesome, and I was able to coordinate things getting left for him on my porch. There was at least, thankfully, a card, and there used to be like a box, but they used to keep cards of all of the plots that documented this other plot right next to it. I guess something had happened a number of years ago. Someone was placed in the wrong plot, and the town, to kind of help rectify the situation, obviously, they moved the person but gave 2 cemetery plots. So, thankfully, Rickers kind of got the story from the nephews, and it was like a whole ordeal, but got it pretty close to the wire.
Hopefully Dave learned a lesson there. Don't put it in the Valley News until you get the approval.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was the other hard part, is that
Oh.
he called me and left me a message as I was traveling. It was no, I guess it wasn't the first day, but it was very close to the beginning, but, and said, we have a burial, and so my first question was, can this be bumped like a week, so I'll be back? And he's like, no, it's already in paper. So, yeah, we've kind of had that conversation of if you can confirm, because it's not so much my availability, as much as we have to coordinate.
It's
And
a
we have to
full
coordinate,
burial.
and it was a full burial.
Oh,
So we have
yeah.
to coordinate with highway, and especially this time of year, they're super busy, so I've got to be able to give them a heads up.
Mhm.
So that I can make sure that we can.
They were literally ripping up the sidewalks.
Oh,
The same
great
day
timing.
we needed to have them.
Yeah. It was exciting, more exciting than I wanted.
Can you just summarize that? I grabbed pieces of it, but I feel like I'm coming in the middle of a movie. Can you summarize what you would like to reflect in the minutes as because this is as part of your sexton's report?
We had one burial,
Okay,
there was some confusion, but we were able to find documentation to clarify the location of where.
Does the town always
Thank
do
you.
the actual like digging? Or does the
Yeah.
funeral home ever do that? No.
We always do the digging of the plots. Different towns do it different ways. So like Jim will tell you, Plainfield, the family, they're responsible for hiring someone to come in and dig and do all of that. I think it's better that we do it in some way. I mean, maybe if you're hiring a professional, it'd be different. If they were doing it themselves, I just like it because even though we market, there's just a lot of risk there if somebody knocks other stones with a
Right.
excavator or, just.
Yeah.
Or just damages the grounds.
Or damages the ground,
We
which
bought, we
no.
invested in that, so we didn't disrupt the grass.
Oh, right, yeah.
cause that,
Most of the time, when you're using like one of the small bobcats, it's on it's on a track, so that tends
Oh,
to
yep.
tear it up a little bit.
so that's always a entertaining time. Otherwise, I do have, deeds at the town office that need signatures from you all, so the ones that had originally, you'll see the same name, it's a repeat, so she wanted different plots, so we just bumped over a couple, so I just needed the deeds to be signed again, so I'd make copies and send them off to her. I think that's all. Just set my reminder, so I think that's it.
Town office open tomorrow?
Should be,
Okay,
as far as I'm aware.
just double checking.
I don't know, I'm going down, so.
Okay, oh, good, then I'll see you
I
then.
hope it is.
I'll just go take care of that tomorrow. Great.
So that's all I've got. Oh, and, I mean, you're gonna go, but I'm still, this is Rick's last meeting with us.
Oh,
He's
Oh,
going to be moving on.
may I ask where you're moving on to?
Someplace else,
With the town?
no,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry. That was a little more than I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say. I thought you were getting a promotion.
no, I'm just gonna go do something different.
Oh, okay, well, good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But then, yeah, I'll hand it off to you if there's anything.
Public report?
Um. Not a lot, we had to move a headstone that for some reason got tumbled down the hill at Lakeview today. So it was salvageable, so nothing happened to it. It didn't have a base, so. Other than that, and that burial,
So you restored it to its original location?
yeah, no issues there. Other than that, it's been pretty uneventful.
Okay.
Oh, we did talk about, I don't know if we had it in our last meeting, that we're gonna take the bushes out at Countryside.
Oh, we did not know, because it came back.
We're gonna take the bushes out that are under the trees at Countryside. Just because they're kind of like merging into one. And it's not really looking that well, so. Bridget came up there to take a look and we decided we're gonna transplant a couple of them near the gate. And the rest are moving on.
So, and we didn't wanna put them. Excuse me, by the scatter ground, right? They're a good spot.
Putting two of them to either side of the gate.
Oh, right. You know what we could do with the other ones, unless you guys have a home already. We could replace those barrels on the scatter ground thing, potentially. We're gonna take two of them out anyways, but.
In the barrels?
No, I put on the ground. Aren't two of them rotting?
Well,
Or do those get-
yeah, the two barrels, you could put them there. The only thing is where the barrels are, is that's access to get along beside that.
Yeah. Huh. You tell them where they need to go.
That is in the works, and when it gets done, I'm not sure, but
All right, doesn't look like anyone's joined us for a public comment.
No.
So on to the business bullet points. We were talking about projects that we were thinking about it, after taking that cemetery tour, reviewing the cemetery rules and discussing fence and stone repairs, other repairs. And yeah, just reviewing the rules and regulations.
I think that kind of came up, was talking with Elisa a little bit, and it's probably something that we should do just annually in case we've changed something or we've discovered something that, is not as doable. I know, we've talked about bigger changes if we keep going for green burial and we bring that stuff around, but, I'm having a blank because I feel like we had potentially found something in there that could be taken out, but, I can send those around to everyone again. They are online, but I can give you like a Word copy if it's easier to track changes or something. And then we can, if you want to talk about it briefly at the meeting, or if nobody sees any issues with changes, then we just leave it as is. At one point, and I'll have to ask Lisa too, so I don't know if you've seen the new website, the new town website. She'd asked about like frequently asked questions. And I didn't have a great answer, but I think one thing I'd love to put on there is Oak Grove is a privately run cemetery. I get so many phone calls and contacts. And so I think whether we put it, and I'll contact the person, the name that I have. But whether we put that on our website or we just say like privately run. I'd like to guide people and I
Right,
usually
yeah.
do give them the contact
Yeah.
information I have. So if he's okay with that, or at least I can put the name and then they can contact me for a phone number, et cetera. So I think that is definitely maybe one of the top frequently asked questions.
I think having stuff about the cleaning of stones would be helpful too.
Mm.
Like, as in, don't go scrubbing it. Permission.
Oh, on that, yeah.
It'd be an easy place to post the rules about decorations and what's
Yeah.
allowed and where and
Yeah.
when.
That's true,
Would be a
too.
nice, easy way to find it.
Um,
I found out
I feel like we
today,
could come up with a few frequently asked questions. Be a good answer.
Did you say, I'm sorry.
No,
Pat.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Ainsley, did you say, decorations, deadlines refreshed or types of decorations? I didn't quite hear.
Both
Okay.
types,
And deadlines.
types, locations, deadlines.
Thank you.
So I guess then my question for you all would be around projects and, not everything has to get done this year, but is there stuff to be tackled? Whether it's data stuff, which that can happen more, older months or, whether it's headstone cleaning or we haven't really figured out with the fence stuff. I mean, we can scrape lichen off the fence, but I guess it's I don't know if simple green would take something like that off. I'm just trying to think of something that's a little more environment friendly than
Yeah.
bleaching.
Yeah, clean that and then all underneath it like worse.
I mean, it would keep trimming down, but, but I don't think that's the direction we want to go. So yeah, I guess I was just curious on what your thoughts were or interests, or, you know, we can make time or plans to tackle some of these things. If we, I mean, you can always say, hey, we want to do this and let's use our meeting to do that. Or, you know, you and I, one of us can schedule, a time, and if it was more than just one of you with me, then we can just, you know, tell Lisa, and it can be noticed that it's, a meeting and wherever our location is of whatever we're doing, but, I can ask her for the details on that, but. So I guess I was just curious. I know that Peggy and I have not we haven't connected yet around kind of checking out the cemeteries.
Yes, well, I'm glad you're back on,
Yeah, so, but we can, and we can
Yeah.
figure that out too. And,
yes,
but if there were projects, like I said, I just didn't know, kind of reflecting after driving around all over the place, thoughts, ideas. All might have. And you might have some anyways, just see the cemeteries. So you may have ideas.
right. But there's something that just off the top of my head that appeals to me about the simplicity of keeping it at one.
Yep.
Just to reduce all the administrative details about noticing a meeting.
Yeah.
But, I suspect that might be directly related to the size of the job.
And I can ask, it's been a long time. I don't know. Elisa might have more background on maybe how that worked in the past. Or
Right.
what, because we have had, go showing you there's stone at Enfield Center Cemetery for Richard Henderson was a trustee, and he did a lot of work for the cemeteries. I don't know if he worked on some of the research, as well and stuff, but, you know, so different trustees have been involved at different levels and are kind of the overarching decision making, but otherwise, you know, get involved. But
I'd like to learn how to clean them. I think that would be,
Think there's any training that goes with that?
yes. There was, the last couple of years, they haven't done it, but at the Shaker Museum, they've set something up. And I know I had said, and I can dig back and look, Grafton's had someone come in, and I could try to find that contact info, and we can see about running our own session. I'll have to see, I don't know, you know, what he charges, and, but it might be something that can ask Elisa, like, what the best budget line is, and if I don't have the money this year, then she actually just sent out some info around budget stuff. We just make sure that we put it in like a training line or, the right line for next year. And that way we can do it.
I found out this afternoon that apparently, I think my cousin, who's down in like Charlestown, cleans cemetery stones, like,
Ah,
he has a business that does, pressure washing, because I said to my mom, I go, you can't clean the stones with the pressure washer. She's like, no, it's like a separate. He also does that, but I don't,
oh, great, then,
huh?
that makes sense.
Yeah. But I could find out what more detail than my mom's version.
Cause that's something we can open it up and I could send it to, the New Hampshire Cemetery Association, and, you know, we can pick a date that works for us and then let them know, and they can tell people, also come, if other trustees or sextons or whatever their terms are in their towns, wanna come and check it out. Cause it's something that I find people ask about doing, and I know that they wanna do it to help and do something nice. So it's just a matter of kind of putting it out there to make sure that people are doing it the right way.
Right, yeah.
Not hurting anybody's stone, but also I think like first and foremost, if we did update the rules and we put in like a blurb about cleaning, you know. It says. It talks about the care and maintenance of the stones and that it's the family's responsibility, so if you're gonna clean your own family stone. I mean, that's your choice. I hope that you do it right. If something happened though, that wouldn't be on us, but if people wanted to volunteer, I think that we then kind of, you know, we can clarify that you need to have training, you need to tell the cemetery sexton and or trustees. We need to have knowledge that somebody's in the cemetery doing something like this. For sure.
Do you think there's like one specific cemetery that's a good one to start with, that's like not complicated in terms of like getting there and like has, you know, like stones that don't have caretakers, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, or don't have their people around.
I bet Enfield Center would be a pretty decent one. It's not.
Perfect, I live right across the street. That's, I love that.
Cause it's not huge. There's a good number of stones and some that could use attention. But
Is that the one that's next to the church?
yeah, it's kind
Okay.
of the one behind.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we could use that as, and it has parking, so if other people came, we would at least have the ability to have people park. And depending on when we do it, we would just need to check in with the church, to make sure that there's not a event happening there.
Right.
Because they rent out that hall for like birthday parties and stuff frequently, so. Yeah, I like that.
In the tail end. So.
I do think. Seeing, because we've got a few stones that are down, we've got stones that are broken. And I can't remember if the person that was in Grafton was talking about that or not, but I'll see, but I can try to do, and if you would like to do, like, I think we should probably research and find people who fix them so that we can start, and it might be a, you know, multi-year project, but I didn't write down every single cemetery that there are stones down. And there were at least 2, 3 cemeteries with stones down. I know 2.
One in Enfield Center,
Yes, that's 3.
and there's a few up in,
Yeah,
couple, I think maybe Fallensby. And
Collinsby and the,
Furmore.
yeah, say another one.
Yeah, I think most of those are the ones there.
So yeah, it was the same.
Oh, there's one in Lakeview. In the very back row of the center. Albert.
Certainly wouldn't mind bringing a pad on our tour and writing these down as we observe them.
Okay,
One,
I started.
one stone that was returned. For George Hill,
Oh, right.
that's in that last May.
Gotta actually figure that out. So we got contacted because even know how many years ago a stone was stolen from George Hill Cemetery and it was returned. Except now I need to figure out where and who. So Jim emailed me. I need to probably put all the resources of town office and have quantum feeds and the cards all together so I can figure out who and where this is going.
Just a couple of words on the George Hill stone. Just,
It was stolen and it was returned.
okay,
Don't ask.
wow.
I don't know how many years ago that was.
Several,
It was, yeah, like decades, I think, ago.
that falls in there.
In
So we
somebody's
do
garage.
appreciate the fact it was returned. I don't know if it was kept clean while it was gone.
Kind of weird when you come into work and there's a stone next to your car
Weird.
at the moment.
Oh, it's blank?
No, I mean, nothing about it.
Oh, nothing on the, I was like, sorry.
Yeah, that would make it even better.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a placeholder when somebody stole it and then it just showed back up, but I guess how would you, never mind.
It's like most of the stones in, like Fallens.
Yeah.
Not Fallensby, but Furmore.
And it's interesting, as we saw, like, obviously others have broken and different methods have been utilized of repairing, so,
One with the metal and the
you know,
bolts was like,
it's impressive. That puppy's probably gonna hold for a while. But, and maybe that, I mean, I can also see that weaken on a stone, so it might not be the best method to use at this point, but. So, yeah, if we get a cost, because. I've only had very like surface level conversations, it just sounds like that is not. A low expense type of project, so. We can always look at it where we budget some into our budget and then also utilize the expendable trust, which is for the care of. And get some of those fixed as well. So we can, we could look at it as maybe like a 2-year project or something, as when we have a count and then the cost. That thing, but I think probably having somebody who does this professionally might be the best. I mean, unless it's.
Most of those other ones, they need to be like reset.
Yeah.
It's falling down because the ground. is
Oh,
so
in fact,
soft.
yeah, that's true too, yeah. And they don't base, but basically
Yeah.
like we do now, so they were, from what I can tell, they were literally just placed in the ground.
Except for that one that's on like Enfield Center and that had like an elastic slab under it where they poured the concrete, stuck the stone in it
Yeah,
and then as the ground got wet, it couldn't support it. It's like when you see a tall tree that uproots the root system.
I'm happy to try to find more information if that's the route we're going.
yeah, if we wanna, I mean, like I said, if you all don't mind, then I can take a look and I'll try to see, like I said. The gentleman in Grafton who did that training. I feel like it was also around repair of, so, but I can reach out to people. Obviously, there's the internet. But if you don't mind just taking a look and we'll see if we find some potential decent resources to use.
Is there, or do we have any more details on is it like radar, whatever the thing is, the machinery that can tell you what's under,
Oh,
right? Is that ground penetrating radar? Is that what that is? Cause that seems like it would, if you're gonna do more, like trying to do the quantum, that like having that information first would be helpful
So, well,
or not?
potentially. It depends on, I think we have a lot of initial information. I think where that information, and I do have the gentleman's card. And I think they sent out the video and stuff of that, so I can send that around to you guys. I think for remapping, so if we're gonna map out, I'll use Lakeview. We're pretty sure we know where everything is, but, I showed you that map and it's very well loved. It would be nice to have, the map that, that Chris has kind of made for us, and I do have to reach out to Chris, actually, just reminded me, where, again, well loved, and there's pieces for sections, but, this is a lot cleaner and easier, and for a lot of them, we know who's in there, or we know ownership, and I think they started that on here, but it's, unless you practice in a computer, it's hard to do that. There is software. And I wrote all that down as well when I was at that meeting. Because there is a software that gets utilized. That you can like make a map. So like I said, he does both. He kind of does like a drone shot and then as a software and and then he can go even further because he can look at where there were cuts and find out like, oh, actually, I'm thinking, yep, what's why am I blanking on the cemetery that's down in the field?
Oh, the little teeny,
Yeah,
Morris?
Lock Haven.
No,
Well,
Lock
Morris would be
Haven
good
and
too,
Potato?
but,
But
yeah,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Butman. No,
Yeah,
Burnham,
burn them.
Burnham.
Burnham. I was like,
That's the one that has like the little stone wall and like one or two.
yeah,
things.
I think there's one that we're kind of guessing on, like, I don't even know if
Yeah.
that one was super. Is there one clear one or kind of clear? Or is that
I
was a
can't even
perfect
remember.
guesstimate? It's been a hot minute,
Mm.
but it's just curious, how many were actually there? We can only
Right.
see one, and maybe that was it. Maybe it just never ended up turning in, but Morris is another one, we can see a few, but that's a pretty big space. I find it hard to believe that nothing else was used. But again, maybe it was just for some family members and then no one else was buried there and that really was just all that was used of the space. So I'm sure, and his name is, Bob. But his, company is Topographics with an X, Bob Perry. So like I said, it's a very, it's a really interesting
That's the one I think that's
thought.
just like sitting on the ground,
Yeah,
the flat one. C. It looks like it says CNC Atwood.
Oh, maybe. And we might have that info. I'd have to look and see if we have the deed.
I think that's from that spot.
Burial info or, but I guess my kind of ultimate goal is making sure that Pontum has all of the information that we have in all forms, seemingly as multiple forms. A lot of it got entered, so a lot of it should be there, but, like I said, the thing, and this is something else that we talked about too, like maybe we focus on, or somebody wants to focus on veterans, and we can take and kind of truck around and note, I can print what I have, which I've done and it's in here somewhere. But we can note what we have listed versus what is actually marked and making sure, like I said, Pontum is weird. When somebody purchases the plots, it doesn't ask for the information. It's not until, so you have like your owner of the plots and then you have occupant. And it's not until
Right.
you say someone's an occupant that then you can enter even more information. That could be decades. And so I just feel like, if you're buying it and you intend to be buried there, then, or we're collecting information on a person, why can't you collect that right then?
Yeah.
Cause you can, in there, when there's an owner, I can say, add as occupant or something where it would really just kind of shuffle them over and. So I brought that to their attention. I don't know if they've done anything. I think they thought it was crazy, but. It's just easier than, it's not like when you open it, if there's a note in there that it pops up and tells you that, hey, this note was added, don't forget, like, someone leave free. So. That is another, like I said, the Veterans Project is something that's pretty attainable this year. We don't need anyone special that I'm aware of. The only extra like research I was gonna do is finding out if we had questions, whether we could reach out to like the veterans. Or the VA and maybe the Legion and see if. I don't know if they can provide a list kind of thing, but. If we have names, we might be able to give them names and they can confirm yes or no type situation, so. That's just the. Thought that I had too.
Can we just go back to the names? Bob Carey or Carey is associated with
Perry,
Perry?
Yep.
I really have to go take that audiology test. And Chris is identified with the drone and the ground penetrating radar?
he's the same,
He's part of topographics?
yep, Bob is the owner of Topographics.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want me to put Chris's last name is in it?
No, there's no Chris. That's what I mean. Yeah,
Oh.
it's just Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where I got Chris from.
So he could do, like I said, that's kind of how he does it, but I'll see, like I said, they have a recording of video that.
Oh.
He shares, kind of see about him.
Yeah.
Do you ever get inquiries on like genealogical stuff?
I do on occasion, I haven't had any recently, but I do have some that I need to dig a little more into. I wasn't finding anything initially on them. And that, again, that's like I only have so much information, so if
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't.
that's why I was thinking like having like the maps and some of that data
Mhm.
as a document that's like searchable for like whether that's publicly accessible, like a PDF type thing or whatever,
Oh.
but like to kind of cut that out and be able to give people like an easier way to search for things. And like, I don't know whether there's because I know other like big cemeteries, like Massachusetts, Boston or whatever, like you can go online and you can look at the stones.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and that is,
Obviously, that would be
Well,
big, but
in Pontum, that was something that, Mary Quintano and Elisa worked to do, so they went around. I can attach the deeds to each record, and then you can also take photos of the stone and attach it to each record. And it's something that needs to get done. It's a little trickier. Cause it's something, I could probably take it on my phone, but part of the problem is being signed into the town system, cause now it's governmental and there's just a whole lot of like back and forth, so, I could possibly email them to myself and then upload them, but anyways, that is for our own records, but yeah, it's interesting. I've toyed with it. I don't know. I have to ask. I don't know that Pontum offers. I asked them, but I might have to ask them again. Some software systems, like you have the whole thing is online. And so if you were looking, you say, I'm looking for a spot and I'm looking in countryside, what's available? And it would show all of the available plots. That, I don't know what that would take,
right.
honestly, but
It seems like one of those things that would be a lot of effort and probably money up front, but like would make things easier
yeah.
as you go forward. I don't know.
I think it's hard, cause we could give you a rough idea in countryside, but Rick and I, like, once I go up there with someone and they tell me the proximity, then we usually have gone up and then we have to find the pins so that we can mark it out so that I can then figure out what spot that actually is.
Mhm.
I can try to rough estimate it for someone, but then when I do the deed, I need the actual numbers, so it's kind of normally it's not too hard. I can't say always not too hard. It depends on where the pins are located.
Are there pins for each plot?
There are pins for,
I'm thinking that would be interesting.
I don't know how he did this. I don't know. I don't think he ever really told us, but there are pins along. So sometimes there are like 8 plots in between or but he had, kind of like the corners.
Oh, I see, like the
And so
dots
he
or
had,
the,
yeah, these little dots are numbered pins, and so
Gotcha.
we usually will find it, so that way we can square off and measure and figure out
makes sense.
who and where and.
You've gotten better at it.
Yeah, pretty good at it. I should probably get one of the metal detector from him.
It's in my locker.
It's like the old one I think I was gonna put in my car, so it had. But when they're next to the road, it seems to be a giant pain. I don't know if it picks up whatever's in the rocks.
Oh, yeah.
They're that much hard, and the roads have definitely, like, or the grass has kind of taken over, so where we think it should be easy, you start to try to dig down and you realize there's little stones down there. Cause it was wider. But yeah, I think, like I said, we don't really we're probably not really short on projects to continue digging in. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
And of course, the other one is we have these nice new signs and we do need to paint. Which I can order for supplies, actually. I'll get some, I think oil base would be the best paint to put on those signposts to reseal them. You do agree? Yeah. So, and that again, we would probably want to. I have a step stool, but I'm sure if we had like a small ladder, some of them are incredibly tall. Some of them are more vertically challenged people. To get up there and scrape it all and paint it. I don't know that I could lean a ladder on all of those. I don't know if it would be the best idea. Maybe it would be okay. I mean, most of them are pretty buried.
Most of them you could get with a step ladder.
Yeah,
You just use a step ladder.
so,
You're not actually leaning on the post.
yeah, that's really what's coming to mind right now is.
Most of the ones I've had, I just use like a 3-step ladder.
And get up, okay. I just keep thinking of Lakeview. Not sure how and where
Yeah,
to put a
that would-
ladder on the road like that.
There's a couple that are tricky.
So I was like, can I lean a ladder against the post from like the hillside, not the roadside? But that shouldn't be terrible. I mean, it's just a matter of scraping some, we'll put plastic down so the flakes all be collected and then slapping paint on them, so. And next year we'll do the new posts, once they've had time to kind of age and we'll let paint adhere to them. So that's all I have, but I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you all want to like pick one, if you have more interest in one versus the other, and then contact me and we can start, planning a time to get together and start plugging away at stuff. I don't know that anything is, incredibly urgent. It would be nice to get the posts done this year. And it would be nice to work on the veterans thing. The other stuff, if we can at least start researching and have a plan. That's good, but it has to be done this year, especially the down to stones, because they are older and they've been there for a little while. We want to get them fixed, but if we have to budget for something, then that's our plan. We're budgeting for it. So. I don't know what your thoughts on it. But.
Signposts, it's pretty doable. I think it's something that we can,
Yeah, oh, for sure.
whereas, all the other ones seem, they'd be really bigger and spread out over a lot more time. I'm also interested in the ground penetrating radar and finding out who's where and, and doing the mapping and software updates.
Yeah, I have no idea what he charges. I mean, he's like worked with the History Channel and stuff, so I have no idea what his rates are.
I just need to send out a few feelers on
Yeah.
that just to see if it's even reasonable.
Right.
Right.
I
And
mean,
some
one
of
would think too, if he's that skilled, it might not be that bad in the sense that it's easier for him than what it sounds like to us.
right.
Cause to be trying to like drone and map and
Right.
sounds really complicated, but maybe his is like figured out by now.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of them. I think the biggest one would be Lakeview. And that is, I don't know that we need him, minus the one from last year. I don't know that we need him for that one as much as, there is. It's called Corel Draw. It's a mapping software. And it's around like 200 to 250. And I did not look into it yet, but you know, that's potentially something that we could budget for, and then we can start taking some of these older, like hand-drawn box maps and making it into an electronic version so that if anything happens to said hand-drawn maps, we have a record. As I'm finding with Lakeview, which Dave from Rickers did reassure me that in all of the years that he's been doing this, the cemetery has never been easy. It's like it has always been like this, so it's not a new issue, but just things that match. I, you know, I would just like it to be, it used to be, I think they thought it'd be so easy to say, oh, everyone gets 2 to 4. Piece of cake, but then they did this weird, like, single.
Oh, right.
And the last of this one and the first of this double,
That was,
what this one
yeah,
was.
that was the fun part is, yeah, it was like D and then A of the
Oh,
next one, so
Gotcha.
it was, and it wasn't in the person's name. And it wasn't in the nephew's name, it was, like, I don't
And the
remember
name was wrong.
who even,
It was Lovely or not Lovely.
well, that's what I say, so, but that's not who owns it, that's the
Right.
weird part, and I don't remember, Dave couldn't remember the
Never
owner's
done.
connection to, if it was a niece maybe, or couldn't remember, so,
And they actually owned a plot of 3 in the center
yes.
of 85, A, B, and C.
Yeah, it was a.
Huh.
An interesting puzzle at the time.
And the people beside it are different ones too, that name. was-
Yeah. Yep, so, you know, trying to, I guess, I keep kind of figuring what the best way to document stuff is and where we should put it in front of, making sure there's notes in there. You know, I have this one all written down, so I'm gonna go into Quantum so that I can add him, but also add some notes to things so that we can look back, because this was like the nephew is pretty sure he saw a handwritten note somewhere that explained the situation, and so he was gonna try to find, you know, again, like when it's decades later.
Yeah, 'cause it's a handwritten note on the one that I sent to you, that was from like 2003.
Yeah, and then, yeah, of course, it wasn't any time in the last 5 years. Something that, like, Jason has been around for a while, and this was, I think, pre him even, so nothing that I could reach back and say, do you have any working knowledge of what happened here? There's nobody is still kind of around that would have that. But. So. I mean, this is your discussion, because as you want to discuss.
Could you just refresh my memory, please, Bridget, on how you spell the database name?
Quantum,
Yes.
Pontem. Listen, I think
I
you've
thought
done
it
it.
was, yeah, it was in my lexicon, but I wanted to make sure that.
Yep.
That wasn't,
Personally, I'd rather focus on a couple of the smaller projects now, send out the feelers about a bigger project.
Yeah,
The mapping, I think sounds awesome.
yeah,
That's very interesting to me, but I also think that's gonna be a big chunk of time, and maybe do a few little projects this year
yeah.
and go and start on the feelers, figure out what information we need to delve into a bigger project for next year.
Right.
One that might cost a lot of money and take a lot of
Right.
time and coordination and hiring people.
Yeah. I
Buying
just
new
think
software.
Between like the mapping and the data recording, like which makes it, you know, which to do first, so you're not like basically having to redo some of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, two big pieces of a project that we're gonna have to figure
Yeah.
out, but. Going over a yearly review of the rules and regulations would be something we could do pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
posts we could do. And maybe reaching out and seeing about learning, do the class on gravestone cleaning, like those are 2 things we could, 3
Yeah.
things we could check off. Over the next month or 2 probably, and
Yeah.
be like, hey, we got some things done, right?
Vote for a single. No, I'm just kidding.
Taking a field trip to find the lost cemetery, which I'd stay also interested in, really,
I know, we should plan that for. Do that in like
in
October
the fall, yeah.
or say. John, went after the frost, the big frost. Go up there, so it kills some plants. Yeah, because that's, John Carr is our resource on that situation.
Right. And then somebody GPS mark it when we get there.
Yeah, ping it so that we, oh, the one thing I think that was one revision in the rules and regs that I was thinking too, was that cemetery, I think is, Whittemore is currently listed under cemeteries we maintain. And then want to move that out, because don't maintain it, in that capacity. Like when we maintain, we mow, we trim, but if this, we don't know where it is. We have a
Yeah.
rough idea, and we're also never getting a lawnmower up there.
Yeah.
There's no maintaining it, so to me, that should just move on to the located, not maintained list, so that our list is accurate. And maybe that's. Oak Grove is in that list, I just can't remember what it's listed as, but it's there. And maybe that's where we put a little asterisk and a footnote that says, privately run. Kind of thing.
I
But
think I've asked this like probably 3 times now. Do we know how many graves are at that Whittemore one?
I think there's only one stone upright, if it's still upright. To my knowledge, I think that was,
Okay, that's what I thought.
I can. Said.
That was what I remembered. I just remember thinking it was weird for there to be only one stone in the middle of the woods somewhere that was a named cemetery.
So, and up to the 2000 book, the Enfield book. This is one stone on the site of, so I think there's only one stone. What it looks like. And again, I don't know if it's still standing. I can't remember. It was up there last and it did open. Not, but. Yeah, so I know I was very close to it. I also want to find it. But.
I think that's it for our business. Yeah,
So yeah, if you would like to contact me separately, and we can work on. Kind of scheduling times to start plugging away at some of these things. I'm happy to do that.
How many signposts do you think need to be scraped and painted? And is there no option of
15?
staining them instead? Isn't that?
Some of them are already painted.
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot of them are already like chipped.
Some of them just need to be painted.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think scraping would just make sure we get that junk off of there, but
I don't think there's not a ton of work for a lot of them.
no. No. Unfortunately, as you saw, it took us, 2.5 hours to drive around, and we didn't walk around, well, we walked around very few cemeteries, so the worst part of all of this, as Rick can attest, every single week that he has to go out and do all of it. Time is more in the travel and to get to, because there's no, you're not clustered together. So,
Yeah, Peggy, you missed the extremely hot. I think it's the hottest day like that.
I
It
know,
was in Connecticut, it was even hotter.
Oh, gosh.
Southern, oh my gosh. It was brutal.
so, we tried to do mostly in the car,
Yeah.
but we did get out a little bit. We're mostly in the AC,
Yeah.
but yes, it was extra for us.
Run for the
Yeah.
mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe on our little art tour, Bridget, we can even maybe tackle the idea of prioritizing where we would do signposts first. There's only like 2 here and 2 there. I know it sounds like tiddlywinks, but just having it written down for me would be
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah,
I'll recommend for the next meeting, maybe we can all look over the rules on our own and come talk about them and make
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah, I'll send those out.
Finalize that next
Yeah.
meeting. I'll put that on the list for the next items.
That March, so action.
Maybe the frequently asked questions, loop that into the same,
Oh, yeah.
they probably go closely together.
Yeah, whether we add it on there or, like I said, it could just be sending that to Elisa to make sure
Yeah.
we've got, you know, here are
Yeah, I like that.
like 3 frequently asked questions
Yeah.
on cemetery stuff. All right.
I do think it'd also be cool at some point if we could have a map of the town and
Yeah.
just have GPS pins and everything, so people were wondering where they're all located. They could
Yeah.
just Quick link and pull up the map and see.
For sure.
And I have thought of that, Angus and I actually started it, but we didn't get all of them,
Okay,
like what it was.
that's something to add on.
So we can't, the new website, you can like put images and stuff, and it's funny because when you put the address of town office or whatever, it links to Google and Google Maps, but I think we can put images, so if we had that map, and maybe we can save it as a PDF. I had gone through, I know when I first started, like all the cemeteries, I put where they were, like what road they were on, so that I could try to start memorizing who was where.
Right.
And I don't know, like maybe that's something that we add on, whether it's the rules and regulations, or maybe we put it on the cemetery page for the town is, you know, here are the 16 main cemeteries, and we just kind of put like what road they're on.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will answer questions for people or not,
Right.
but you know, we do that with the Parks and Recreation. We,
Right.
list the parks.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think it'd be neat to have like the location of them and then maybe really loud once that turned off.
Yeah.
I don't know if this information is easily accessible, but like, maybe a blurb about like the date range of, even if it's not like 1600s, not like the specific year, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right,
just to be
yeah.
like, oh, this one's the oldest and then here and,
yeah, that would be really.
or like this is a town owned, but it's primarily like 3 families or, you know what I mean? Like just kind of I think it's interesting.
Yeah, no, that would
Yeah.
be really, that would be and we can
I'd go
edit,
in on that project.
yeah, we can edit those like the page, so we can always start with, okay, here's the easy part,
Right,
names and
yeah.
locations, and then start digging in, as we're like working on the
Yeah.
bottom stuff, I should be able to see as long as we have that data.
Right.
And Marjorie's,
And yeah, and that's just from the, that
Enfield.
book, right? The one
Yeah,
that's
this
in
is
the-
from the Enfield, New Hampshire, 1761 to 2000 book. And this is
This
like in
should
the
be
winter
available in the
time at the
library.
newsletter, I
Okay,
tend to
cool.
take blurbs and kind of summarize about,
Oh, yeah.
the different cemeteries, just sharing with people, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm to the seas. Right now. I said countryside, but. When do you want that next? Is that what's next? Is the next meeting we have?
Just next meeting items and
Oh, yeah.
then we adjourn.
and our next meeting is on August the 8th.
I'm pretty sure.
Um. So we'll just do rules and the FAQs.
Rules and FAQs, yeah.
I think it doesn't have to be crazy long.
And maybe we can talk about delegating out the painting the posts at that point too. I figure.
Uh. Yeah, so did you have? Like you had emailed about the next meeting date?
And I rescinded the email,
Oh, okay.
because
So
they
we
were able to
right, yeah.
accommodate me earlier, yes.
Okay. so
Thank you. Yes, everything's good, yeah. Thank you.
I will also try to send out. So you never got the invite from Elisa for the meetings?
Mm-mm. No, but I gave myself a coronary last week that somehow I still had. I had the meeting from, but the really bad part was, I saw it at like 8:15. I was like, okay, I look, okay, yes, it's next week, but is it really next week? And then my brain's going like, did we change it? And I was like, well,
Did
I look
miss
at my
something?
email, I'm like, well, nobody's yelling at me,
Yeah,
so I must be all right.
And I asked, did I miss something? Did I miss, I hate the Google Calendar, not for anything.
Yeah, I don't
Just-
either.
Just saying,
I never managed to put things in right.
I write things on a paper calendar and I love it. My husband, he's an IT guy, he hates
Still
it.
use
And
it.
he's like, can you just use this Google Calendar? I'm like,
mm,
I can, but I'm not gonna be
I have
really
so few,
good about
like-
it when I can just scribble.
Yeah, I have so few like usually scheduling things that I just assume if I've got a haircut, I'll just, whenever they tell me the reminder is when I don't necessarily write it in somewhere. Or I set a reminder. If Siri doesn't know, it doesn't exist.
Usually, always say if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Sometimes it gets me in trouble.
I think we've gone over a little bit of everything, so move to adjourn.
Second,
See everyone in a month.
So yeah, definitely please reach out to me.
Yeah.
And we'll finagle in the 3 weeks.
Good luck in your next endeavors.
it's nice being with you, Rick.
yeah,
Good luck.
Is everything at the town office or do you want me to done?
That I got from you. I gave it to Elise and she put it on the bookshelf behind her.
Oh, perfect.
I put everything that you had given me. Your map and everything else with the black box. So wherever the scene of the crash is, it's where all the black box.